Hey there, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. Parenting is hard. I totally get it, and I'm here to make it easier for you. Especially if you had a tough childhood or you've got a tough child now, I've got your back. So take a deep breath, relax, and check out this clip from my coaching group this week. And remember to hit like and subscribe if you like my vibe. Let's get started. I want to talk about shopping with a tween or teen girl. And I want to start off by saying I know that this is potentially a very hot slash controversial topic, and I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay having difficult conversations because at a certain point, parenting becomes more about or less about choosing which diaper, which baby food, what the nap schedules are, what the sleep schedules are. Those things are all really important when they're young, but I guarantee your kids are getting older, and these become more and more of the real topics that we as parents need to deal with. So, first of all, how many of you have girls? And I'm assuming the people who are going to show up to this have a tween girl or a teen girl, or maybe you've got a toddler girl who's kind of like a three-nager and you want to have a little bit of a vision for the future. That's great. I'm here to not at all pass judgment. I am here to share an experience and my process in figuring this out in the hopes that it actually helps you. And I want to talk very honestly and openly about some of this stuff. So I'd love to hear your opinions in the sidebar as I'm going along. And if you can relate to it, great. And if you have questions, I'm open to that. I just want to be an open, honest, authentic voice in this world of parenting that I think sometimes makes us feel like we're not, often makes us feel like we're not doing a good enough job. We could be doing better. We don't know what we're doing, and other people are doing different things. So let me start with a story that I uh, have a daughter who is 13, and she really wanted to get a bikini. And up until this point, with the exception of a program that sort of required a certain kind of bathing suit so that all the kids were wearing the same, um, she has never had like her own bikini before. And we went to Target. No disrespect to Target, I'm a huge Target fan. Um, but we went there and we were looking at the line of clothes that is meant for tweens and teens and young adults, I would say. So it's like in the range of, let's just say, depending on the height and size of your child or girl, from 12 to like probably like 20, mid 20s. And they have up on display different styles of bottoms. And as you know, as well as I do, this whole like going to be showing our butt fashion is totally in right now. So they have little tags on the bottoms of the bathing suits that say what kind of style it is, and they have a picture showing what that means on a woman's body. All different styles of bikini bottoms. And my thought was, I'm looking at these pictures, I'm like, well, those are all pretty scant, and let's just all kind of agree that the idea of having girls and women go around at the beach is really like a wink and a nod to having them, us as women, if we're wearing it, agree that we're going to run around in our bras and underwear. It's just going to look a little different and it's at the beach. So whatever. We started looking at on the shelves for and on the hangers for the ones that were the hipster. And it wasn't lost on me that they had five styles that were presented as options, but when it came to actually selecting the bottoms, there were only one, there was only one, maybe two out of 20 options that were in this hipster category, the full coverage bottom. The rest of them were mostly cheeky, high thigh, high waisted, whatever they were called. And this sparked a lot of conversation with me and my daughter because I have been on the more modest side of bathing suits. And I know that it's not the height of fashion to be, or the height of cool to be modest when it comes to bathing suits. I totally get that. And this is something that I struggle to find the balance with in my own family. what is trendy enough, what is fashionable enough, and what is comfortable enough. Now, personally, I know that there's a whole swath of bathing suit options, especially in this moment, this cultural moment, that I'm not comfortable with. And that may or may not be true for you. That's totally fine. What I want to encourage everyone to do is to know what you're okay with and what aligns with your values, and be able to explain that to your child in a clear enough way so that your child can take in what it is that you're trying to say instead of just saying, no, that's bad or that's inappropriate. To open up the conversation more, have a conscious, probably more difficult conversation to say something along the lines of, that type of bathing suit, if it does make you uncomfortable, to say it makes me uncomfortable. So you're not passing judgment on it, because if you start passing judgment on what your tween or your teen girl wants to wear, maybe you experienced that with your own mom, maybe you didn't, but just going to start tuning you out more and more. So if you can frame it as, it makes me uncomfortable, and this is why it makes me uncomfortable. These are the messages that are associated with it. Something I said to my daughter was, um, once somebody sees your butt, they can't unsee that. So even if you meet them, at the school that you go to or at a grocery store and you're wearing pants, they're not going to unsee your butt. They've already seen it, right? That was one of the many things that I said to her in the realm, in the conversation around why I am personally uncomfortable with that. Hypersexualization is a whole other thing of girls. And I I also wanted to share with my daughter the process of making a conscious decision. Just because everybody else is wearing it, that doesn't mean that you necessarily are going to feel good in it. And it's important to understand why and get curious about, why do I want to wear what everyone else is wearing? Why do I want to wear that thing? Is it because it's what everybody else is wearing? Or is it because it actually makes me feel good? Is it because I get a certain type of attention that I don't normally get when I wear this? And none of that, I don't judge any of it, but it's just important to raise the level of awareness and to make conscious decisions around what choices you're making. It's the same thing with music, right? Like, we can often just kind of like be bopping along to music and we're not really aware of it. And if you really tune in and listen to the lyrics, you may or may not be okay with those lyrics, but the process of becoming more conscious and choosing um, is going to be more rewarding for you as a person. At least that it is for me. I'll just speak for myself. But back to the shopping thing for a second. So, one question that I really like to ask my daughter just to raise awareness is, I see that that's what the girls are wearing. Let's take a look over. Let's walk for just a second. I'm just curious. Let's walk over to the boys section and see what the boys are wearing. Let's see what Target and what all the trendy stores are telling boys is appropriate beachwear, and let's find out what they're sort of selling as appropriate beachwear for girls. And what do you think about that? What do you make of that? Those are curious questions. For me and my family and my relationship with my daughter, it's very important that my daughter feel comfortable in what she wears, that it doesn't hinder her movement in any way, and that she feels confident about her body, no matter what size it is, no matter what age it is. I want her to feel body confident. And so one of the things that I have had her do since trying on bathing suits is to make sure that she can move in a way that doesn't restrict her natural desire to move. She's a kid who wants to be active at the beach. She wants to jump into the water. She wants to do, back handsprings. She wants to play paddleball on the beach. If she's wearing a bathing suit that's not going to enable her to do that, then I think that that is not a great choice for her of a bathing suit, right? And the same goes for a lot of clothing that we look at together, because I'm still shopping with her, is to say, how are you moving in this? How is this making you move? How is this making you feel like you want to move? All of us, all of us, men and women, have had the experience of wearing something that is so restrictive or so uncomfortable, even though it looks good or we think it looks good, that it doesn't let us relax into moving in a natural way. It doesn't feel right. It's like wearing a fake costume. It just doesn't feel right. And sometimes that happens because you're going to a fancy event and you're wearing a tuxedo or you're wearing a dress that it like keeps you looking a certain way or feels a certain way and it's a one-time event. But I'm really talking about a place where that may be appropriate for that event. But when it comes to bathing suits, again, I'm speaking for myself. I want my daughter to feel confident and I want her to feel free because that's the feeling that I've seen her have at the beach since she was a little kid. And I don't want her to lose that because she's afraid of a string on her bikini getting caught, right? So there's no string bikini, or afraid of her top getting pulled down, right? So it's like I make decisions, I help her make decisions based on what is right for her. And I'm not saying that what I'm doing is right for you. I'm just encouraging you to have these conversations with your daughters and with your sons around what their choices in clothing means to them and ways to have conversations with them that are rooted in curiosity and rooted in being conscious so that they are not just mindlessly going along with the flow. They're not just mindlessly buying something because it's trendy and cute. Sometimes that's okay. Like, sure, but is it okay in this search in this circumstance? Is it okay in that circumstance? Just to be more conscious and to be more mindful about our choices and what they say about us. And the last thing I want to add here is that we were really struggling to find the tops were less difficult to find, and it was a mix and match situation at this store. And we were having more trouble, as I alluded to a minute ago, finding a bottom of the bikini that was less um, problematic, right? We were we were struggling to find one. And so I finally turned to her and I said, we don't need to force a round peg into a square hole, right? Like we don't have to buy the bottoms here. Maybe it would be better for us to look somewhere else for a bottom. Maybe we need to look somewhere else for a suit that you're going to feel awesome in and I am going to feel more comfortable with so we can both win. So anytime you can find a situation where you can both win, it's a yes and like, yes, I want you to feel awesome. Yes, I want you to feel like, you're part of your friend circle. So you're not wearing like, an Amish bathing suit and your friends are wearing something else. Doesn't mean you have to go completely to what they're wearing if what they're wearing doesn't feel right and I'm not approving of it. But we can find something that's a yes for both of us and where maybe we're both stretching just slightly to meet in that middle. But you don't have to stay tied to one store. So just remember that. So because so many fights happen in Target with kids when they're little, it's fighting over toys or it's fighting over a certain snack. And as they get older, it's, fighting over clothing. You can just say, I don't think that this is the store where we're going to be buying bathing suits, and let's at least open our minds to the possibility that there are other places that sell bathing suits that might work better for us to find our happy medium and to stay focused on what is right for your family and what feels good for you and your child, whatever that may be. Not for nothing, we encountered another woman while we were looking for bathing suits, and she was not with her daughter, but she sort of chimed in, as us moms are want to do. And she said, I was just having this conversation with my 14-year-old daughter yesterday in this same swimsuit section. And I was like, oh, and she said we ended up finding one and they picked one of the hipster ones that had full coverage. She's like, but she looked at my daughter and she said, your mom is not the only one saying this or thinking this. So that made me feel better. And I said to her, I said, I'll pay you later. Like I paid you to be here. I'll pay you later. But my point is that just because this is what the store is serving up doesn't mean that's what you have to consume. You don't have to consume what is being served to you. You can look elsewhere. You can make a conscious decision. You can stick to your values and to what feels aligned for you and to not say yes when really inside you're screaming no. Pay attention to that and get curious about why you're screaming no, and find a way to share that with your child so that the communication can stay open, and so that you're not shutting her out, so she's not shutting you out, so she feels like you understand and you really want to get where she's coming from, and you really want her to get where you're coming from too. So having that conversation in a calm moment, if it gets too heated in the store, to say, you know what, why don't we just take a little break? Let's take a little walk around the store and let's try again in a few minutes, or let's try again another day. You don't have to be hijacked by your tween or your teen's emotional reaction to you saying, I'm not comfortable with this. And this is part and parcel of setting a boundary, of listening to that boundary inside you, and to being able to gently and firmly and lovingly and respectfully set a boundary with your child. So I hope that this story, this vulnerable share, helps you today. And I hope it helps you to create more and more connection with your tween, with your teen, and that you open up to whatever you need to open up to, so that you can model for her what you want her to be open up to when it comes to communicating with you. I really hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to share it and use the comments to ask a question or to request a topic for the future. We've got links below for free support with things like discipline, teaching your kids how to be more gritty, and how to be more patient with your kids, plus access to my free coaching group. So be sure to check those links out. And remember, we get one shot at parenthood. Our kids only get one shot at their childhood. So let's make it count. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.